Right? Let's look at the key players to globalization. Key players to globalization. That's what we are looking at today. Key players to globalization. In other words, key players in business, in international business. That's about globalization. Right. When you look at companies of all types nowadays, whatever size they belong, whatever, they have got specific areas that make those companies survive. So we are looking at these key players in international business, that sometimes these companies that are there worldwide, for them to survive, there are key players that make them survive. So that's what we are looking at today. We are looking at key players in international business. So the first player that we'll be looking at in international business is what are called the multinational corporations. Multinational corporations as the first key player in international business. In other words, for international business to be international business, it has got players, it has got areas, aspects, or areas that those that make the business excel, going on and on. Those are the key players in international business. So we're looking at companies. Of course, we'll look at in Malawi. We have got these companies which are very small companies. But if you go to other countries like Brazil, America, whichever, they are having companies that are so large. Of which these companies that are so large, they dominated international business. They dominated international business. Why? Simply because their firms are so large and they are able to emerge markets in order to come up. In other words, they are there to make these markets dominate over the markets. So these are what we'll be looking at as key players in international business. So we're taking at whether companies are small or companies are big, but there are other aspects that these companies they have in common. So one of the things that we are looking at today as a key player in international business is what is called multinational corporation, which is referred to as MNC, multinational corporations. So we're looking at multinational corporation. So multinational corporation. So let's look at this multinational corporation. I have to give you an example of multinational corporation, and then we can discuss from there. Multinational corporations, those are businesses that has very direct investment abroad on multiple countries. Their business is just the type of business that has direct investment abroad in multiple countries. They have got a direct investment or investments abroad. The most important thing there is you have to underline that the MNC, the multinational corporations, they have got direct investment abroad in multiple countries. They are linked. They are just companies that are linked worldwide. You find the companies in South Africa, they have got agencies there. You find the companies in Malawi, they have got branches and agencies there. That is what is called multinational corporation. That is referred to as the multinational corporations. In other words, most of these multinational corporations, they generate job opportunities. You find the same company is in South Africa, the same company is in Malawi, the same company is in UK, is in America. That is what is called a multinational company. It has direct investments abroad, but in multiple countries, in several countries. So we are looking at this, that although we are looking at it as the multinational corporation or companies, multinational corporations, you see, they have this importance that they create job opportunities. Like let's look at companies like of course, if we look at game, it's in South Africa, in Malawi, but I don't know whether we have got game in other countries, whether in the United States, whether we have got game, I don't know. If game is in Malawi, South Africa, other countries, we can refer that one as a multinational corporation. But now, if you look at this one, multinational corporations, they say it has got direct investments with the countries abroad. In other words, it has investment like KFC. If you look at KFC, you know KFC? KFC, you can find it in South Africa, right? You can find KFC in Malawi. You can find KFC in Japan. Even you can find it in United Kingdom. That's the multinational corporation, right? So it is there to, at least it has the significance of creating job opportunities. And at the same time, the fact that we are looking at it as creating job opportunities, it has advantages of increasing tax for the country. Because if for example, the companies in Malawi, you find that tax band, the tax that the company will be paying to the government of Malawi can promote the country. So there is that issue where there is a tax, of which that tax is there to help the country. In other words, generation of income. A country can generate income, revenue for the region and for the nation of which that company is found. So we are looking at multinational corporations as having importance. But now we are looking at this. For a multinational corporation, to exist is not a joke. There must be billions and billions of kwacha for it to exist. Because you're looking at it is found in one country, is found in another country, is found in another country. But there are some companies that have more than, they have got more employees, and the fact that they can have more employees, but if you look at it, it has got many of its smallest, is found in the smallest countries. It is those companies that have got more employees, but are found in smallest country like Malawi. They are there to help a country like Malawi. For us to survive economically, we do survive because of those companies that are found there. So that's the importance of that. Again, if you look at these multinational corporations, apart from that, you find that they add the gross domestic product to the country, the GDP. In other words, the GDP of the country goes up just because of the introduction of the multinational corporations. See, countries are able to survive. The domestic gross domestic product, they're able to survive economically just because of the introduction of those companies. And another key player. So we're looking at this multinational corporation as one of the key players for international business, in the sense that multinational corporations, they play a very good role to the country where they are found, right? Apart from that, do you see any other connection of the importance of multinational corporations? What do you think? Apart from the ones that we have mentioned, have you any other advantages of these international the multinational corporations? They create They created trade. In other words, that if they are creating trade, that's very good. They created trade, but the fact that they created trade, sometimes the fact that they are there they can at least they help, at least if they create a trade, in other words, that they are able to do the selling and the buying of things in the country, they become also easy. So we are looking at it as creation of a trade. That's very true. Apart from that, there is that job creation, they create trade, and apart from that again, we have again looked at that they are having that importance of increasing the GDP of the country. Another key player for international business, apart from multinational corporations, of which there are very big companies that are found in most countries. Apart from that, we have got again entrepreneurs and small businesses. Do you know who an entrepreneur is? Do you know an entrepreneur? Who is an entrepreneur? A person who is doing business alone. That's true. When you're looking at an entrepreneur, so you're looking at this entrepreneur as a person who is starting business. And these businesses, in most times, we're looking at that, the fact that we are looking at these entrepreneurs, most of the times, these entrepreneurs, they are engaging themselves in small businesses. Right? We are looking at them in having, taking an upper hand in small businesses. So when you look at this type around, this age of globalization, you will discover that small businesses are increasingly done nowadays. Yeah, small businesses are increasingly being done. Businesses like baking, businesses like these shops, saloons, selling of whatsoever, everything is done in most times. Now, the fact that we are looking at this being done frequently, they are assisting globalization. So we are looking at that these entrepreneurs and small businesses are found everywhere. If you go to Japan, or if you go to this where you order your jewelry, Taiwan or Dubai, you find that the type of business that is being carried there, it is these small businesses. Small businesses are found there, plenty of them are found there. So those small businesses, they are part of globalization, because we are looking at an entrepreneur who is responsible for running those small businesses. Right? So so globalization as it is now, globalization for it to be the way it is. In other words, the born globalization area, if globalization is like that, what it is, how it is found, it's just because of the introduction of these entrepreneurs and the small businesses. So small businesses and entrepreneurs, it's again, we are looking at them as a key player for globalization. Key player for globalization. Another area we can talk about this, but the major one, when it comes to who are responsible for globalization, these two guys, the multinational corporation and then the entrepreneur and the small businesses, these are the major importance, the major players that are found in terms of international business. In terms of international business. Then let's look at why is international business so special? Why do we regard it as something which is very special? Why do we regard international business as so special? If you look at international business, and indeed it is very special, because for countries to at least to sustain sustainability, they depend on international business. International business is very, just assume. I didn't mean that here in Malawi we are not engaged in international business. Where would Malawi be? Where would we? We would have been at least, if we were not engaged in international business, we would have been at zero. But because we are engaged in international business, here we are where we are now, right? The fact that we are where we are now, that at least things are changing. If you look at things are changing nowadays. They were not the way we used to be like those times. Things are becoming, they are dynamic. So international business is very, very special because it is adding value to a country like ourselves. We were backwards, but now we are at least somewhere, simply because of international business. Right? So, see, we can't talk about international business. International business is very, very important because we are looking at it that for sustainability of countries, for the countries to be countries at least economically, like Malawi now, we are at least we are economically fine simply because of international trade. The way we will be exchanging goods and services, that's at least, it's more or less like apart from that you are exchanging that one for gaining something, but at the same time, when you are doing international businesses, you are strengthening your relationship with countries. For example, Malawi and Mozambique. If we engage Mozambicans, these are our guys there, these Portuguese. If we engage them through trade, it means we are cementing our relationship with them. So apart from that, maybe we are looking at it in terms of economic, but again, strengthening of relationship. And at the same time, there can be other things that those guys in Mozambique or in other countries, they do not have, but we in Malawi have. If we exchange, at least it is one way of at least making those things to be in our country and them to have the very same product that we have, but they don't have. So you can see that international business is very, very, very important. So when we are trying to find out why is this international business so special, so we have seen that it is very, very special because it is there as one way of making countries survive. But now, let's look at another area, and this area is the global business environment. Let's look at this issue of global business environment. When we are looking at global business environment is another aspect that is making globalization to be very important, to make it very special. Globalization or global business environment is making international business to be so special. So, why do we regard it that this global business environment is making this to be so special? It is just because it occurs within countries in form of it's dynamic, because there is that changing, and again it's there because there is that integration system that is making it to be so special. Very dynamic, very integrated system, and at the same time, it waves into their other areas that are making them to be so different, like the force of globalization, international business and environment, many national business environment, and again international firms management. So international business is so special, very, very special, because we are looking at it in terms of that it is dynamic. Something that is dynamic, what do you mean? What do you think it means? It's that's changing. The way we were, it's not the way we are now. That's why international business, it is very, very, it's so special. Again, when you look at international business to be so special, we are looking at it because there are those issues to do with the the issues to do with the forces that transform globalization, sometimes they can affect even the societies. Societies can either be affected. We are looking at it, there are other forces that can affect globalization. But again, the fact that they are affecting globalization, they have got an impact in the society. They have an impact in the society. You see, for globalization to be globalization, for countries to be to form globalization, apart from that, globalization plays a very vital role in markets, but there can be forces that can hinder this with the globalization. Therefore, that's why we are saying that sometimes this can make these issues, the globalization, to have those forces. Hence, we have these environmental business issues. Environmental business issues. In other words, the international business environment again do affect the globalization. So globalization, we are looking at it, that is so special, but within globalization, again the environment, we have got my environment around, they have got an impact on globalization. They have an impact to globalization. So the issue of globalization, that's what we have been talking about. The issue of globalization, you see, it has an impact. Globalization has an impact to countries where they practice. They have got that impact. But because they create job, they have got products, there are those products, introduction of products, new products. Again, there are other areas that you talk of that sometimes there are issues to do with the at least binding relationships among nations. That is to do with the globalization. So globalization, as we are looking at, is very, very important. Do you see any importance of globalization apart from the ones that we have talked about? Anything to do with globalization? You see any importance of globalization? Because the next thing that we want to look at cross-cultural businesses. We want to see cross-cultural businesses. Any question or any observation? It's fine. Let's proceed with the cross-cultural businesses. But before we go to cross-cultural businesses, there is another element that I wanted you to know. There is another area that I wanted you to know. I wanted you to know that globalization has got an impact because income worldwide is not equal, it's not the same. Income here in Malawi is not the same as income in Zimbabwe. Therefore, this globalization has an impact in the country where it is, because again, it is there to solve this problem of inequality, income inequality. It is making at least bring countries together, inequality between nations, and again, global inequality. All this, the inequality between nations and global inequality, everything there, it is to do with the globalization. So globalization acts as it is one way of at least filling in the gap of inequality among nations. That's what I wanted you to know, apart from the areas that we have looked at as key players. And again, I wanted you to know that sometimes, apart from that, has got globalization within nations. Again, you can say that the issue of globalization, has an impact worldwide, in the sense that globalization is making at least people are educated on new products that are found worldwide due to globalization. Then the next area that I would like to know, it's about what you see globalization in terms of now, in terms of cross-cultural businesses. So our next lesson is about cross-cultural businesses. We will define what is cross-cultural businesses, and again we'll look at what are the elements that are found in cross-cultural businesses, and then we'll look at some other elements to do with this culture, classification of culture and in areas. So that's what we'll be looking at in our